All right, welcome everyone to our 30-minute Q&A session. I'm Ify, your go-to immigration attorney. Today, as usual, we're going to answer your questions as we get along with the live, but we're talking about 3 ways you could potentially lose your permanent residency. Even though you're a permanent resident right now, that's not the end of the road for you. You could still lose your residency. So come on into this live, share with your friends, invite your friends. Let's get into these 3 ways and potentially how to avoid it so you don't lose your residency. Because after your 3 years or 5 years of permanent residency, you're eligible to become a US citizen. So let's make sure we're following these guidelines and keeping our status. All right? We have Denise with us today. Welcome, Denise. Hola.
Hola, hola, muchas gracias. Estoy aquí para apoyarlos y vamos a hablar entonces de 3 puntos con los que podríamos perder nuestra permanencia como ciudadanos, ¿ok? No es el final del camino, todavía podemos perder nuestra residencia y aquí estemos atentos. Adelante, estamos listos.
Gracias. Thank you. So we're going to talk about these 3 points today about maintaining your permanent residence status. And then as I see questions coming in, I see already a lot of questions on TikTok. I'm going to pause to answer them. Feel free to ask questions about this topic or any topic at all. But we are a family-based immigration law firm. We help immigrants get their green card status through family, especially marriage. So most of the stuff I'm talking about today is about marriage-based green cards because those are the ones we've seen a lot of people coming in later on down the line because they didn't follow the guidelines and they're at risk of actually losing their status. So very important topic. And before I get into it, I want to invite you all to book a consultation with me if you need a one-on-one guidance to help you with your filing or to understand any complications you face in case you're already filed. So you can book a call with me. My number is on the screen. If you're on TikTok, you can click on the link in my bio to reach out. And also, since we're getting to the end of the quarter, March is just like speeding through. We're almost there. It's in 2 weeks. We're offering 15% scholarships to people who book with us now and who get a service. You're going to get 15% off of your legal service. So this is something you don't want to miss. It's something we just don't really do. But right now, I'm just sharing it with you because, we're out here. So come on into our service, sign up, come on into the live, get the tips. Let's go. All right.
Muy bien, vengan aquí, por favor. Si necesitan un abogado, no duden en ponerse en contacto. Nuestros números están por aquí en la pantalla y en los comentarios pueden encontrar nuestro link. Estamos listos para comenzar.
All right. Someone asked on TikTok, where are you located? And we are located in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I help clients all over the USA because, immigration is nationwide. So wherever state you're at, it doesn't matter. We're in North Carolina, but we can still help you. Okay? All right. Let me just quickly get into the first point here. The first way that some people lose their residency because they didn't follow the guidelines or they didn't realize that doing this could cost them their permanent residency. So the number 1 point I want to discuss is failure to maintain your marital relationship. Okay? I mentioned that you can get your green card through family, through marriage specifically. But if you get your green card through marriage and for whatever reason you are divorced, this could cost you your residency, all right? Because if you divorce or you don't have the relationship, you're not qualified for that relationship anymore, and you get your green card through that relationship, that's just a recipe for losing your green card. Okay, so if you don't maintain your marital relationship, maybe you don't officially divorce, but you're separated and you go live with somebody else or have a child with somebody else. I actually got a question about that in my DMs recently. You're married to someone that you got your green card through, and then there's some infidelity or whatever, and you don't even do the proper filings, you could definitely lose your green card that way. So very important to take note of if you got your green card through marriage. Understood?
Claro, muy bien. Entonces, pues el primer punto en el que definitivamente podríamos perder nuestra residencia permanente es, pues obviamente, si tuviste tu residencia a partir de un matrimonio, la relación tiene que ser fructífera y continuar. Si por alguna razón ya no eres parte de esa relación, te separaste, tuviste hijos en otro lugar, lo más probable es que esa permanencia, esa residencia sea removida. Okay.
Gracias. Thank you very much for that explanation. I have a question from Tabitha on a TikTok. This is in relation to what we're talking about because Tabitha is a naturalized citizen, or she's wondering if a naturalized citizen is married in the USA and then goes to another country to get married again. Is that legal? So before you can get married to a second person, you have to be fully divorced from the first spouse, regardless of the country that this is happening. And this is exactly what I'm talking about failure to maintain your marital relationship. So if you're married different people and you got your green card from the first husband and you married the second husband, you haven't maintained marital relationship with the first husband, you have to do an official divorce. You can't just ignore it, okay? Because the only reason you qualify for the green card is because of the relationship. So Tabitha, I hope that answers your question. It's not legal because you can't marry two people at once. You need to divorce one person to marry another person, whether it's in another country, another state, or anything like that. Okay?
Muy bien, entonces como comentaban aquí, si tú estás casado o naturalizado en Estados Unidos y quieres casarte con alguien en otro país, no es legal porque no podemos simplemente ignorar un matrimonio y empezar otro.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Denise. I'll go to point number 2. The next point, this is also for those of you who got your green card through marriage. One of the ways that you could potentially lose your green card is if you fail to remove conditions after 2 years and you just basically continue living your life. USCIS could come after you for basically rescinding your green card because you only had a temporary green card. You never showed them that you maintained the relationship and the relationship was real and you just kind of lived your life. You could definitely lose your green card that way. So this is something very important to take note of because I really see some comments and questions and I'm always wondering, like, who are you guys really talking to? I mean, potentially not lawyers, because if it was, you will know that, number one, getting a green card is not automatic. You don't just get married to a U.S. citizen and then you're a permanent resident. Number two, if you're married for less than 2 years, you're going to get a temporary green card and you have to remove conditions for you to continue being a permanent resident. And if you don't, you could lose that green card. So these are the things to keep in mind. That's why I encourage you to always talk to a professional, talk to someone who has a lot of experience. I've been doing this for over half a decade. It's surprising whenever I say that because I'm like, man, time has really moved. But I've been doing this, dealing with couples, dealing with this types of situations. So I can definitely guide you to know, don't do this right now. Wait a little bit to do this because these are just the tactics that you have to use in order to get the best results with the USCIS. Does that make sense?
It is like a dance, right? You can teach every step.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's essentially a failure to remove your 2-year condition is a recipe for losing your green card. So make sure you're following that, doing that I-751 removal of conditions process. And if for whatever reason you're not able to maintain marital relationship, that's when you definitely need an attorney to intervene. All right?
Muy bien, entonces el punto número 2 sería fallar en llenar tu solicitud para la remoción de las condiciones para tu residencia permanente. Está la forma I-751 que si no la llenamos a tiempo, si a usted se le dio una green card de 2 años temporal, es muy probable que si no pudimos mantener esa relación, tengamos algo ahí el riesgo de que nos puedan remover nuestra residencia permanente.
Exactly.
En este punto es cuando los invitamos también a llamar a un abogado directamente. Aquí estamos para apoyarlos y obviamente podemos ayudarlos con los pasos que sí hay que dar, con los tiempos. Todo es muy importante para lograr que no nos quiten nuestra residencia.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Denise, for that. I see a question on TikTok for someone asking about the I-751. Just want to make sure we're not getting any from Instagram. Are we? So I don't miss those as well. because I don't see those coming up to me. But anyways, let's answer this one from TikTok, because this one says, how long does it take to approve an I-751 application? Thank you very much, Camis, for your question. I-751 is exactly what I was talking about here, which is removing conditions from your permanent residency green card. You get a conditional green card because you weren't married long enough, so you need to be able to show them that the marriage was legit even after 2 years. That's the whole point of the removal of conditions. So I-751s right now can take anywhere from 2 years plus to get your final approval. And really, that's because the USCIS will give you the 48-month extension to allow you to continue to work and live here like a permanent resident, because you're still a permanent resident. You could just lose it if you don't make it a permanent one, if you don't show them reasons why they should actually continue allowing you to be a permanent resident. So they give you those 48 months. Usually some people, if they're still married, they're able to switch to N400, which is the citizenship. So you can switch from I-751 to citizenship application and kind of do both at the same time. But it's just one of the longest ones I've seen out there that takes quite a while to be approved. I hope that answers your questions, Camis. And, Denise, you feel free to let our Espanol audience know about that form, specifically I-751, because it's the only way you can show them that. And that form also needs to be signed by the spouse as well, right? So the husband and the wife, the U.S. citizen and the non-citizen, signs the form. But sometimes, going back to point one, they're not able to maintain the marital relationship. So how do we get around that? This is why you should definitely give me a call. Let's talk about those details. All right.
Claro, entonces como comentamos, la forma I-751 es la remoción de las condiciones. Esto quiere decir, cuando no tenemos casados suficiente tiempo, ellos nos van a dar una residencia condicionada. Al tiempo que llega la fecha de pasar a una residencia permanente no condicional, hay que llenar la forma. Es muy importante porque también la tiene que llenar tu esposo o tu esposa, ¿ok? Tu pareja tiene que estar en ese papel con su firma para demostrar que la relación ha sido fructífera. A usted se le van a brindar 48 meses para remover las condiciones. Sigue siendo usted un residente permanente, pero si en la relación continúa, se puede cambiar a una ciudadanía por otro tipo de forma, pero si no, ahí es entonces cuando hay que llamar a un abogado. Si usted necesita apoyo, estamos aquí directamente en nuestros links para que agende y IFI está a su servicio y todo el equipo.
Gracias. Thank you very much. We're getting to the final point, and I still see more questions coming up. I will try to answer as many as I can, but it's definitely best to reach out for a one-on-one time. I know a lot of you have reached out to me from these lives, and I hope that you get some value from these sessions and also when you talk with me. But once we get through the last point, Denise, feel free to let me know if any questions are coming up. I think I've been missing some of them on.
I'm not sure. I only see TikTok questions. I have not seen Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. All right. No problem. So once we get through this last point, which is something I do speak about a lot of, just because I get so many questions about it, but I need you all to know that this is number one. In fact, this should have even been point number one, but I'm glad we're talking about it now. It's point number one for easy way to lose your green card. And that is engaging in fraudulent marriages. Okay. This is more common than you all think. It's very common. Number two, people are literally always messaging me about this. I'm like, do you even understand what you're really asking about? What's going on right now? If you wanted to engage in a fraudulent marriage, you're talking to an attorney that works with the government. Like, come on, make it make sense. Okay. So fraudulent marriages, and they may not even find out in the beginning, right? A lot of people think they can, if they scale through the first time, you get your 2-year green card, that's it. You remove conditions and they'll never catch you. Like even at your citizenship, even at any point in time, they could just send you a letter to rescind your green card if it somehow comes to light that your marriage was fraudulent. So this is very, very important. You're not gonna, don't think that okay, I passed the first interview, so whew, that's it. I've deceived them, and it's fine. I get my green card. They could come for you at any given time. So be very aware of not paying people money for your green card.
Help you lying.
Don't
Yeah.
even um the conversations you're having with people, because these are the ways they investigate, right? Your social media, these are the ways they'll be able to figure out down the line that this marriage was fraudulent. You didn't deserve the green card. You were probably married to somebody in your home country, which is another typical scenario, and all of that. Okay, it's just not worth it. Okay, so because now everything you've invested in, everything you've had, and all the years you spent here will just be lost because you're going to be in removal. All right, that's the next step. If you lose your green card, you're now removable because you don't have a status, especially when it was for something fraudulent. Now, for the first two, you have a chance to actually make your case. If there's a reason why you didn't remove conditions because of abuse, divorce, different scenarios that make sense, so you can prove it, that's fine. But if it's a fraud marriage, sayonara. Okay.
Ok, claro que sí. Pues obviamente este es el punto número 3, pero debió de haber sido el punto número 1 porque si estamos comprometidos en un matrimonio que es un fraude, que es una mentira, hecho o montado nada más para conseguir nuestra green card, es muy probable que con el tiempo, aunque al principio sea fácil mentir, tengamos que pasar por la entrevista y creamos que ya nos libramos de esto. Eso todavía no es así. A cualquier punto del proceso, si algo no hace sentido en tu solicitud, en tu historia, ellos se pueden dar cuenta y definitivamente vas a perder muchos años de tu vida. No vale la pena. Entonces, hay que tener en cuenta no empezar con mentiras, no tratar de envolver a un abogado que trabaja para el gobierno para ayudarnos a mentir, ¿ok? Entonces es bien importante que si no queremos perder nuestra residencia, no iniciar un proceso por parte de un matrimonio montado o que no sea una relación real.
All right. Thank you very much, Denise, for that. So that was all I had to say on maintaining your green card status. One other way that is not even written out here that I'll just mention quickly is staying outside the USA for too long. That's one of the ways that people don't really remember. Because as a permanent resident, you can live, work, travel, live your life as long as you maintain half of the year you're staying in the USA. That's the rule. If you're staying outside the USA for more than that, you could lose your green card, because there's like, okay, you've abandoned your residency. There's that chance. So just keep in mind all these things. If you're not sure about where you stand with your own green card status, remember I said having a green card is just half of the journey. Until you become a US citizen, you're still at risk. So if you're a permanent resident right now, you're watching, and you just need to know where you're at and understand certain things about maintaining your green card status and also moving to your citizenship, please reach out to us. I'm the marriage green card lawyer online. You can find me on any platform, and you'll be able to connect. All right. So, Denise, over to you. I'm going to look through the questions while we kind of wrap that up.
I was searching for some good questions.
Yeah, so that we can just get into that part of the live. That's my favorite part. We'll just do it for about the next 10 to 15 minutes, and we should be good for today. I do have a consultation right after the live, so let's get into it. All right.
Okay, I have one good question from TikTok. This is Michael. This is something that everyone needs to know. It's like the advantage of actually hiring a lawyer versus trying to do it yourself. And I've seen it. I've seen it already.
Did someone ask that?
Michael on TikTok.
Michael, what does it say? Is that what's the advantage?
What's the advantage of hiring a lawyer?
Oh, I see.
Versus doing it yourself.
Michael, I think we get discussion at least every other live, because most people just think like, okay, it's paperwork, I can do it myself.
I know.
To which I'm like, yeah, you probably could, because if you can read and write, and you can understand what's going on potentially. But The advantage of having an attorney, having a professional service by your side is, number one, you reduce the risk of making any mistakes. I'm talking simple mistakes like you file the I-130, your spouse is abroad, and you select that you want to do adjustment of status, because you probably just don't know what adjustment of status means. That's a term of art. That's something specific for immigration attorneys. You don't know. So you just select that innocently, and next thing you know, it's going to cost you 4 years to correct that mistake, right? Because your spouse is abroad and you need to send the I-130 to Mexico. This is like a real life scenario. I'm just using that as an example, but this literally happened. So
Yes.
even though this person can read and write English, you just don't know what are you selecting. Another consultation I had the other day, the instruction literally says select one, but either not reading. And with us, the way we're able to see these things, because we see these forms all the time, so we already know where certain things are, what needs to be there and not there. So with that,
This made me feel like I know I can open up a shot, I can try to vaccine myself because I can see and, move my hands, but I'm definitely not taking a vaccine by myself. I mean, I know I can do it.
right, but where exactly are you putting the thing in,
There's a
right?
professional that knows how
Right.
to do it.
So that's the thing. So I mean, I'm never going to try to make it seem. And there are some attorneys out there. Maybe they do different practice areas, like maybe deportation, some more difficult areas. It's always like a scary type of situation where, oh, you definitely need an attorney, otherwise you're going to be deported. I'm not doing scare tactics here. I'm just letting you know that I have the experience. I have the time, and I'm willing to join you on your journey to help you through it. Because at the end of the day, it's still your journey. We're here to support. All
And when
right.
I
So
get to answer, we get those calls. People doing it by themselves that already have lost
now,
3 years or
right,
more.
right. So I mean, so it's really up to the individual. Um,
How they can manage it, or if they feel.
what you feel like you need. But if you need us, we're here. All right.
Yes, we
So
can definitely help.
yes, let someone ask this question. Can you talk about the 30, 60, and 90-day rule for applying for adjustment of status?
Okay.
Can you marry prior? Ashley Celestine, thank you for that question. It's on TikTok. It is that's a complicated question. I'll just kind of give you a summary answer to kind of let you know what the purpose of the rule is. So that rule is for those people who enter the USA on a non-immigrant visa, meaning a visa with one intent, a visa that was only for a temporary reason, like a travel visa, or I mean a visitor's visa,
Like the fiance.
or student visa. No, fiance visa has dual intent. So we're just talking any visa that's not for getting married, any visa that's just for one intent. Okay, fiance visa is to visit and potentially get married to your fiance, and that's the whole point. So Ashley, for this rule, if you enter the USA and adjust your status within the first 30 days or apply to adjust your status, there will be an assumption of fraud or misrepresentation in your whole thing, because you just entered without the intent. That's what you said, right? When they ask you where you're going, you're like, I'm going to Disney, and then in 30 days you got married. That's going to be a problem. Okay. 90 days is really the time frame that reduces the chances of any potential misrep, because people could meet, you could fall in love and meet when you're in the USA and get married and all that. But getting married prior is already intent, is already showing your intent to actually become a permanent resident. So anything you're doing prior and you come in on a visa that's not for getting married, and I hope you're here hearing this, Ashley, you're gonna create issues. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you can hear this, and if if you understand what I'm saying. Okay, good. So that's just essentially the purpose of the rule. Just don't be married prior, because that's already showing what you plan on doing. Okay, and yeah,
We have really good questions on TikTok.
yeah. So tell me another one, and Ashley. Okay. Yeah. So, well, actually, if you're already in the USA, on, I'm not sure if you met this person before now or what, you know, it's a different scenario versus you're planning to come into the USA with this intent and then get married and apply to 90 days. You're still gonna face issues, but at least 90 days gives you, it reduces the chances of that misrepresentation. 30 days definitely gonna be misrep and fraud. That means it makes you inadmissible essentially. So being married to a US citizen doesn't protect you from inadmissibility. I think I talked about that in one of my lives, but feel free to reach out for a discussion about this if you're in the USA and you're wondering if we can adjust. Okay? All
Okay.
right, thank you.
And I'm still looking for more questions in here in TikTok, but also wanted to invite everyone to follow up Ivy on Instagram and on Facebook. Come to the Facebook group. Vengan a nuestro grupo de Facebook. Estamos en Instagram. También vamos a poder, siempre tenemos tips, más videos, reels. Entonces, ojalá que los ayuden.
Okay. Gracias. Thank you. I see a question from Tata Pang that just says, it just came up. It says USCIS is asking for more evidence.
But my marriage failed.
But my marriage failed. Oh, but my marriage failed. What can I do? Okay. This is like point number one. I discussed earlier, failure to maintain marital relationship. That could definitely cost you your green card unless you're able to show a legitimate reason like abuse, the
from
reason
the
failed.
spouse.
Right. Abuse from your US citizen spouse. So what was the reason for the marriage fail? Was it from you? Was it from the other person? Like what happened? Otherwise, that means you don't have a qualified relative anymore. Because some people also, like, there's no scenarios like we really haven't seen. I mean, let me not say never, because sometimes when I hear some stories, I'm like, it really, different things happen. Because sometimes what could happen is, someone, the marriage has failed, right? She had a child for another person. She had already kind of separated from her US citizen spouse, but then they didn't call them for interview or didn't ask for a request for evidence. They just gave her the green card. And now she's about to go for naturalization. And she's like, what do I do? Because you got your green card through marriage, right? And if you're going to naturalized, they're going to ask you about that marriage. And if they find out the times when you divorced versus when you actually got the green card doesn't align, that will create problems. But it wasn't kind of intentional, right? Because it doesn't call for interview to ask her about whether the marriage failed or not or what was happening. So we'll have to think about that one real hard, because there just shouldn't be any assumption of fraud that you kind of, hid some information just so you can get your green card. And for citizenship, she has to wait for 5 years, because it's like you can't even go there on 3 years. Talking about the relationship has already fallen apart, so there's no relationship. Okay. Hope that answers your questions, Tata. Thanks for being here. I'm just gonna answer the ones I'm seeing right in front of me.
I have one that is Vanessa. Does someone who have a K-1 visa can apply for asylum if the partner do not want to get married on a 90-day?
Can someone? Okay, they don't want to get married. Okay.
They got the K-1 and they suddenly like.
Vanessa, if you qualify for asylum, yes. If your spouse doesn't want to get married after the 90 days, the requirement is that you go back home, right? But if there's any reason whatsoever that you would qualify for asylum, then go for it. That's essentially gonna
And
be.
I have a question from this exact question. Like, does this person, if there's some kind of VAWA,
that's a great point, and because I was gonna bring that up, but it has to be very unique, specific situations where if the reason why I don't get married is there was some abuse, maybe when you came in, they
they show the true personality or something.
Or something like that. It's not just they say they don't want to get married alone. I mean, that's the whole point of fiance visa, right? Is to see whether within the 90 days you really, and that's why I encourage people, don't just go into this fiance visa thing. Try to meet in a third country, meet somewhere else, get to know this person very well before you now decide to now move your whole life here. Sometimes children are involved. Sometimes there's like severe abuse as well. People are pregnant. It's just so much things happen. This is your life. You have to be careful if you're getting entangled in relationships with people that you meet online, especially. Okay. All right. Hope that answers your question.
Vanessa, give us a thumbs up if
Yeah.
you got your answer.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. I see another one. Just the most recent one says, if my dad got citizenship through marriage and is now divorced, can he get married to an immigrant? Okay. You're welcome, Vanessa. YB. This is also something very typical that happens because I'm thinking if he's getting married to an immigrant, excuse me, he wants to file for the immigrant, right?
Yes, I think. I mean, he got it through a marriage and now he wants to provide it for someone
For
else.
someone else, yeah. So there's no rule against not doing that. I think the only thing is the length of time between when he's divorcing his American spouse and when he's actually remarrying should be considered because there's definitely also who's this immigrant? Is this somebody that he was married to before? Because that also happens. People who divorce their spouse,
From the
back
other
home,
country.
right? Come here, marry somebody else. See, yes, he and my mom are back together. Okay, YB, you already know that this is gonna be some serious red flags over here because, and it's gonna affect your dad's green card. Did he? Well, he's not a citizen, so but did he get his green card from a fraudulent marriage? That could spiral down. And if he and your mom are back together, this, like I said, these things are not nothing is new under the sun. I've seen these scenarios before, so it's gonna be a red flag for sure because it's all about whether which marriage was real or not. Is even the marriage with him and your mom now legit again? Even though they have you as their child, but are they just doing this back and forth just for this green card? So that's gonna come up for sure. Doesn't mean that they can't win because if he legitimately divorced your mom and it was like years of them being apart. He married somebody else, but then he realized like, this ain't it. I need to go back to my first love or whatever. And there's like that true, genuine showing of him really living a full life as his US citizen spouse. Maybe they even had a child together or whatever. And, maybe, but it's definitely, they might be slow, USCIS, but they're not that slow. Okay. They pick up on these things. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So thanks for your question, though. That was an insightful one, at least so that you all can hear these things because it does happen. We just have to know how to.
Hey, I
Um,
want to invite Soraya Luna. I'm looking for, I see
okay.
another question, but like, I think this is something we could discuss on the Facebook group. You should
Mm,
just, we can provide you on the one-on-one on Fridays. You should
okay.
come and
This one's about explaining LPR
Yes, some
Cuban.
temporal in
Humanitarian
Cuba.
parole. Yeah. Yeah. So those ones are definitely specific conversations that we
Yes,
have. Yeah. This
that
person
need
on
more one-on-one.
IFE attend to my question. What's your question? But your question is not very clear, so you need to book a call with me for me to attend to that question. It's very specific. So thank you for being here and for asking, but I'm not sure what a G56 is. So
We
I,
have Chocomilo 2020. I hope you're still here. Give us a thumbs
okay,
up.
I didn't see that one.
What if your partner lives in a different state and you're all trying to get married? Any advice?
If your partner lives in a different state and you're trying to get married, Um, well, the issue is going to be about the bona fide marriage, right? Whether if you're not living together, you can still show other things about being bona fide. Well, why do they live in a different state? Is it because of work? Is it the type of job that they can't get anywhere else?
Or are they studying, right? Depends on the reason they need to separate
Right.
houses.
So just living in a different state alone is not enough to just, not qualify for the green card. Um, Essentially,
If
that's
you
how.
can put up together everything else, right?
Yes, exactly. So if you can show bona fide relationship, that's just, that's fine. That can go.
Martina Arellano is asking, will USCIS expedite my waiver? So
Will
she means
USCIS expedite a waiver? Well, I don't know. I mean, expeditions are based on very specific reasons. What kind of waiver is this? Is this a waiver of what, inadmissibility, or what? What kind of waiver? Vaccine waiver. We've done some exercise for vaccine waivers and still haven't heard anything um, about that. Excuse me. Welcome. So, I mean, I don't know. You can always the most common things that they will expedite will be work permits because it relates to financial hardship. You see, and so that's what I see the most results with. But let me know what kind of waiver you're talking about here. Okay.
Tata Pang, how can I get a one-on-one with you? There's a link. Book a
Yeah.
consultation with us.
Yeah. So the link is in my bio, or you can call 919-925-2295. Let me type it on TikTok. You can call us or text us and we'll get you the link to book, okay?
Tata
Thank
Pang,
you.
take advantage.
Nine,
And Gem Chulo, give
five.
us a rose, a thumbs up. Is there any reason to be denied if your fiance tried to file on for you but later canceled the process?
Well, it cancels the process. You're already denied now,
There's already no
right?
process.
Right. So that's the answer. If the process is canceled, it's already canceled, and you really can't force people to file, paperwork for you, right? But if they're canceling and on cancel and doing it whatever because they are manipulative and abusive, then you can get your green card through a self petition because they're manipulating you. But if it's just I didn't work out, like trust me, I've seen, like I said, it's something I've not seen. Somebody I had a consultation with today, they just got married. There's no wait time for this thing, right? You can get married today and just decide to file. So, but if you've been dating for like 3 years, you have 3 years of relationship, right? But this person didn't really have much of a relationship, but they were willing to prove it and everything. And after the consultation, they were ready to do it. But the marriage literally broke down that day basically because it's like, oh no, this is too much, whatever, all the requirements for immigration, I just can't do it, and we don't really know each other, which was facts because they just met. That's why I'm like, stop missing people online and just giving them your whole life because it's a serious commitment. And then if they can't do, if they don't want to do it, you can't really claim that they abused you because it just didn't happen, so you didn't live together and whatever. That's just a case of not dating somebody properly and really being ready to be committed, because for immigration you need to have that willingness to build your commingled life together. It's not going to be just getting one life insurance here or there. You need to live together, have your um, health insurance if you want to get insurance, like things that you actually use, utilities. So that's that. My conversation is coming up in the next 5 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap this up here. Our consultations right now, well, we don't have any specials going on, but it could either be 199 or 99, depending on the type of case you're looking at or what you're looking to do. If you want to speak to me directly, it's gonna be a different price. But just click on the link in my bio and you'll be able to see that. Okay. Okay. All right. So I see. I'm just gonna scroll through real quick, see if there's anyone that really stands out. But for the rest, we're gonna come live again on Thursday. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday, coming live to share some topics with you and answer your questions as much as we can. I also just do random lives on TikToks too. So if you follow me on TikTok, even though they're about to ban TikTok, I don't even know. We'll see.
No.
But just follow me online anyway. I'm the marriage green card lawyer. You can ask me questions in my DMs. Sometimes I'll answer just on a TikTok, like with a post. But you always get some tips from me and answers,
Just
okay?
to make sure, come to Instagram and come to Facebook,
Or just in case TikTok gets
just in
bad.
case.
Yeah, so that's okay. Well, thank you very much, you guys, for being here, for participating, especially you all on TikTok. And for those of you on Instagram, if I didn't get to your question, please DM me, book a call. Let's talk
Muy
outside of
bien.
here.
Muchas gracias a
Gracias.
todos.
Sí.
Ha sido un placer. Estamos para servirles. Pueden consultarnos directamente en nuestros links y en nuestros números de teléfonos. Muy bien.
All right.
Yay.
Yay. All right. Thanks.